The Rainbow Mafia is at it again when it comes to targeting children. And this latest incident took place at a California high school where students were mandated to attend a student-led drag queen performance. No, that's not hyperbole. No, I'm not making it up. And yes, the school is very loud and proud about the matter and think it was completely appropriate. We're going to go ahead and dive into the details of this controversial matter here on The Breakdown. Hey, this is Greg Hoyt from The Breakdown. If you're new here and checking out the channel on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter at GregHoytLET. Anyway, let's get on to the video. On March 3rd, Pleasant Grove High School in Elk Grove, California, held its Multicultural Day, where, in the school gymnasium, apparently they were putting on like a sort of production of sorts, a lot of them being student-led, where mandatory attendance was in effect for all students because it was during the school hours, and the high school students had to sit down and watch whatever performances and displays were put on in relation to this Multicultural Day. And one of the performances associated with this Multicultural Assembly Day at the school consisted of students who were part of the LGBTQ plus group at the school. Like it's like legitimately like a school group. And these students adorned drag outfits. They dressed in drag and danced provocatively in front of the entire school in the gymnasium. And once again, just to reiterate, every student who was there at school that day had to attend.
Drag Show Showdown in Elk Grove, a student-led drag performance by Pleasant Grove High School's LGBTQ group, getting backlash and praise.
Now, there's a whole lot of things wrong with this. I mean, you take into consideration the inappropriate content. You take into consideration the fact that, it was mandatory attendance, so maybe kids who didn't want to see, their peers do a sexualized drag performance, they had to sit down and watch that. What was worse is that no parents were forewarned that there was going to be a drag queen performance at school where attendance was mandatory. In fact, in the days leading up to the Multicultural Assembly at the school, parents were notified that there was going to be this assembly, this Multicultural Day. But nowhere in this advance notice were parents notified that there was going to be a drag queen performance component. The email sent out to parents read, "Hello. PGHS is proud to present the annual Multicultural Expo taking place Friday, March 3. During the day, students will be attending one of two shows in the morning. Due to space constrictions, these assemblies are for students only. And please note, with the assemblies taking place until 11 a.m., early dismissals may not be available until after these assemblies are finished. In the evening, we want to invite you to attend a show dedicated to our families. This performance will begin at 5 p.m. in our main gym and will include a free cultural buffet hosted by the performing cultural clubs, which range from various cultures and backgrounds. We hope to see you here." Now, as you can see from the email, again, no forewarning. There is not even a minute hint that there would be a drag queen performance during this multicultural expo. And again, when you think about it, when you think of a multicultural expo or a multicultural day or assembly or whatever, the first thing that does not come to mind is a drag queen performance. I mean, typically when you think of these types of events, these school-sponsored events where it's like a multicultural day, you think of maybe kids being introduced to various worldwide cultures in the forms of maybe food or, traditional garb or, maybe practices that are, key elements of various cultures around the world. But sexualized drag queen performances, no one would even think of that on a multicultural day. And once again, we are talking about literal children who were doing the drag queening during this performance. The local CBS outlet that reported on the controversy, but then also shared the perspective of people thinking this was awesome, because of course it's California. But in the local CBS report, they wound up blurring out the faces of the performers because they're minors. And so you have a school-sponsored event that is having children dress in drag to perform in front of their peers in various hypersexualized dances. And as mentioned earlier, there are some parents that were reasonably pissed off because they learn about this after the fact. And one local parent who was in communication with her son during the endeavor, during this multicultural assembly, like she was telling her son, like, hey, you can leave if you want to. You don't have to stay and watch that crap. And that's when the mom learned, when she got a text back from her kid saying, yeah, no, they're not letting anybody leave.
My son said to me, he said, Mom, I'm just going to put my head down. I texted him back and said, you can leave if you're not comfortable. And he said that they weren't allowed to.
District leaders told CBS 13 in a statement, all performances at the Multicultural Assembly were approved by school staff and administration.
It's my right to decide when they're exposed to certain things and when they're not.
So sit and stew on that for a minute. A high school in California is forcing children to watch drag queen performances under the guise of it being like some kind of multicultural assembly. That's disgusting. That's indoctrination. That is not only sexualization of the, underage performers, dressing in drag, but that is also exposing the unwitting spectators to this sexualized performance and degeneracy. There is a reason why there is such an ardent, ongoing, and heated debate with respect to children, minors, being exposed to hypersexualized scenarios, whether it be in the forms of books in the library or in the curriculum, and then you have these drag queen story hours, and then you have drag queens seeping their way into public schools to the point now where California schools, or at least this California school in question, is forcing children to watch drag queen performances enacted by their peers, that's all the more troubling. I mean, it's almost crazy that this even has to be said, that this type of garbage, it doesn't belong in a public school. And it certainly isn't something that should be forced upon children. Children should not be forced to be exposed to this drag queen degeneracy crap, this sexual moral fluidity nonsense. All this garbage, it needs to be taken out of the schools. This nonsensical guise or ruse about like, oh, we need the drag queens because every student or every child needs to see themselves represented. All right, there is nothing representative about a man doing their most sexist interpretation of a woman. That's not any kind of representation. What that is that's a weird form of autogynephilia on display. We can't have the normalization of fetishes being introduced into schools and almost becoming part and parcel with curriculums. Because when it starts with this fetish, what's the next one? I mean, are we getting to the point where, in the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to see high school multicultural days that have BDSM displays going on with child performers doing it? Are we going to see nonsense involving furries? A line in the sand has to be drawn, and I'd say this is a really good cue for that line to be drawn. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, whether you think like, oh, Gray, you're just being overreactive, you're doing the whole gay panic stuff or whatever, or, oh, Greg, you're just being a bigot. Whatever your thoughts are, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or have your own nuanced take, go ahead and drop it in the comment section below. Anyways, guys, that was the breakdown. Peace.